Thank you very much for coming, everyone. I'm Paul Reed. I'm working with David tonight. I met David about a year ago, and we're working on an online prepper store project. And we've become friends since then. He's an entrepreneur, sheriff's deputy, Cub Scout pack leader, rock climber, martial arts enthusiast, gun enthusiast, computer whiz. He's got a father of two. He's married to our friend Holly. Say hi, Holly. Here we go. His random visit to an essential oil seminar at a prepper show in Dallas resulted in about 500 IPCs throughout West Tennessee and really the world. So just a happenstance occasion brought us all here together. And it's also led us here tonight. Let's give David a big hand.
Thank you, guys. It was somewhat happenstance, but I don't know about you guys, but I don't know that anything happens by accident anymore. So I'm kind of beyond believing that there are accidents. And I'm a little hot, so I'm gonna, and I mean that from a voice perspective. My voice is really low, and it really even makes it worse. So tonight, there are a lot of things that the oils can do. Tonight, we are specifically going to be looking at these oils from a preparedness standpoint. How do you utilize these in the event of some sort of disaster? Nothing short of, I ordered the weather just to add to that. But there are a lot of other things that these oils will do. We're having a 5 series here over the next several weeks, and each time they're going to be covering something somewhat different. So if you've got friends or anyone that's interested in natural health, and emergency preparedness wasn't quite their ballywig, there are several others that may fit even better. I want to give the disclaimer, doTERRA does not prevent, treat, or cure disease. Your lifestyle choices can help prevent disease, and your doctor treats the symptoms and he fixes broken parts. But your body is what actually cures the disease. And so just like the race car drivers, it's not the car that actually wins the race, it is the driver, and the car is just the tool. And so just like the oils are really just a tool of how we are healing our bodies. So from a preparedness standpoint, there are a lot of people, whether you're just preparing for a bad day, whether you're preparing for an earthquake, whether you're preparing for a tornado, or whether you're just waiting for doomsday, all the bullets and the firearms and the safe rooms and all the fun guy stuff that we tend to get all excited about, none of it will do you any good if you're sick. And so if you're laying in bed sick, none of it will really do you any good. And the truth is in a down scenario, and it can, doomsday gets a bad rap, but from a standpoint of just a simple tornado, I don't know how many of you were around our area during the tornado, but it really devastated that area for quite some time. We've had Katrina, we've had Sandy Hook, we've had a lot of different disasters, and anyone that has lived through those have discovered that it's not something that just immediately goes back to normal. And so as a result, those things that you used to go, oh, no big deal, I'll just run down to the walk-in clinic to resolve. Well, there is no walk-in clinic, okay? And so that's something to consider. Now, why not modern medicine? Okay, so modern medicine certainly has its purpose, it has its uses, and we're not trying to replace modern medicine. However, there are some things that you need to know that could urge you to at least go back into somewhat of a self-care when you can. Most modern medicine, if not all, is made from isolated synthetic agents. As a result, They have side effects, both known and unknown, and they're designed to manage the symptoms. So there are hundreds of things that really have root symptoms or that have root causes that reduce. If you just address the root cause, suddenly you have addressed a multitude of symptoms. But if you go to the doctor or whatever and you say you have chronic joint pain, he will probably prescribe you a drug that relieves the joint pain, not necessarily candida or something else that could be the underlying cause of that joint pain. So at $4.5 trillion per year that we spend on global health care, are we really healthier as a result of it? And I don't know the percentages, but most of it is spent here in the United States. And our statistics are not great in the United States compared to the rest of the world. As an aside, I wanted you to just, everybody's watched the commercials, right? So you're watching your TV show and you watch your commercial, the commercial comes on and you've got the two holding hands and they've got all this great soft music playing in the background and telling about how this drug, they had the one-line thing of, it's supposed to help you sleep, right? And then in the background, you hear this guy reporting you or worsening symptoms to your doctor, such as depression, anxiety, aggression, agitation, confusion, unusual thoughts, hallucinations, memory problems, changes in personality, risk-taking behavior, decreased inhibitions, no fear of danger, or thoughts of suicide or hurting yourself. Stop using Zolpidem and call your doctor at once if you have serious side effects such as chest pain, fast or irregular heartbeat, feeling short of breath, trouble breathing, swallowing, or feeling like you might pass out. Less serious side effects may include daytime drowsiness, dizziness, weakness, feeling drugged or lightheaded, feeling tired, loss of coordination, dry mouth, nose or throat irritation, nausea, constipation, diarrhea, and upset stomach, stuffy head, nose, sore throat or headache, and muscle pain. This is not a complete list of side effects, and others may occur. That's just so you can sleep, okay? So there is obviously an issue with our healthcare system when this is extremely common to be handed out as a sleep aid when all you really want to do is sleep. So there's that option, or there's nature's medicine. Nature's medicine minimizes the symptoms, but it's also addressing the root causes. It's made of hundreds of natural compounds found in plants that enhance both the physical and the emotional health. And it's safe without the side effects. The worst side effects that you can have are extremely minor, and some of you may know what those are. It's pennies per dose, and you don't spend the time or the money in the doctor's office as a result. And it doesn't expire. From a prepper standpoint, or preparedness standpoint, expiration dates on medicines and other things, anything that you're storing up matters a lot because you're wanting to store them up in the event that you might need them. But when you might need them 5 years later or whatever, you want them to work. And that's something that nature's medicine can do, or at least the essential oils can do. So nature it produces the product, it meets the body's needs, and as a result, your body heals itself. So why essential oils versus several of the other items, such as herbs or other things? And they're 50 to 70 times more powerful than herbs. And it makes a lot of sense if you consider that, and I'll show you that in a second. But the other thing is oils enter the blood within 30 seconds. That's a very fast benefit because if you got a headache, just like taking Tylenol or some other type of over-the-counter drug, you want it to happen fast. But Aleve or Tylenol or any of those, they have to have time to process in your system. Oils can happen extremely quickly. It is the plant's own natural medicine cabinet. It's what it uses to defend itself in the environment. So if you think about it, we're always inside and we're washing our hands and we're doing all this stuff to keep ourselves healthy. The plants are just out there. So they don't really have that luxury. You never see a plant washing its leaves. But as a result, it's got these defense mechanisms, which are the essential oils, on their leaves that when they are attacked, they get to, that's what protects them. So 1 drop of peppermint is, a peppermint oil is equal to 28 drops 28 cups of peppermint tea. Now I love tea, but 28 cups of peppermint tea is a lot of tea. And Chinese medicine has used different teas and compounds and combinations of different herbs in their teas for centuries, actually millennia. And they've had great success with it. But imagine the power change between a simple cup of tea versus 28 cups, just in one drop. So why is it so powerful? If you look over there, the oil sacs, actually, there. That is the oil sac, and if you notice, you obviously it doesn't look purple, okay? So when it's blown up that much, colors transition. And so it's extremely magnified, and these tiny oil sacs are on the peppermint leaf. They're on other leaves as well, and that is the essential oil. So the trick is to get that essential oil out of the peppermint leaf, and it takes about 2,000 pounds of peppermint to create 1 liter of peppermint oil. So now you can imagine just how you can't exactly fit that in a capsule of leaves, right? They kill bacteria and viruses. If you go to the doctor and you're sick and they come back and they go, well, it's a virus. Now, aside from Tamiflu, which works on some different levels, what do they typically tell you after they have now told you that it is a virus? Anybody? I heard the go home part, yeah. Go home and it's just going to have to work its way out. Is that generally what happens? Now, why is that? If it were a bacteria, what would they do? They'd hand you some type of strong antibiotic. You'd go to the pharmacy, you would take that antibiotic for 10 days, or maybe a Z-Pack, something like that, and hopefully you would be well. The bacteria is on the outside of the cell wall, while the virus is on the inside of the cell wall. As a result, your antibiotics cannot penetrate that cellular barrier, which is a good thing. Otherwise, we would be like piles of mush rolling around. And so this is at every level of our bodies, there is some type of a security system, okay? And the cellular membrane is its security system. So the bacteria can't penetrate it, but a virus can. But so can essential oils. And as a result, they can attack the virus from the inside. They have a ton of powerful properties, and they have been used for thousands of years. The Egyptian kings were found with liters of essential oils in their tombs. They intended to use them in the afterlife. I can't vouch for that. I can vouch that you can use them now. I have no idea if you can use them afterwards. But they have been used for thousands of years. And if you notice, they're analgesic, antibiotic, antibacterial, antidepressant, antifungal. They're really negative, okay? But they're negative in a good way. So they fight all the things that we want our bodies to be rid of. And the beauty is there's no one oil that just does one thing. What do you typically hear? That it's a one pill for one ill is our typical deal in modern medicine. And what they'll typically do is they'll assign you this medicine that solves problem X, and then it's got side effects, so they'll assign you another medicine to solve that side effect, which that side has a side effect, and so then you get the idea. So that's not exactly the way essential oils work, since they don't have the side effects, but they're also not attacking just one symptom, they're attacking the multitude. So why doTERRA over other oils that are on the market? There are several differences, and the first one is synthetic. So synthetic oils are what you typically see in the industry, fragrance stores and things like that. And you'll find them down the candle aisle, and you'll find them down other areas that have the plug-ins to where they make smells, right? And what they're doing is they have isolated the component of whatever smells good in lavender or peppermint or whatever it is. They've isolated that smell, they've patented it, they've put it into their product with a bunch of other chemicals that will keep it from breaking down and things like that. And then you burn it, and then you breathe it in. So it's synthetic. The second level is the food level, which now it's at a level that requires to be GRAS standard, which GRAS standard is generally regarded as safe. Generally regarded as safe. It doesn't give you a whole lot of warm fuzzies there, but that's the standard that our USDA and FDA go by. And so this standard, again, it has nothing to do with any kind of medical benefit. It is only about the taste. So in the first standard, you've got perfumes and you've got things like that that have the smell level, and now we're into the taste level. The next level is the therapeutic benefit. So this is what you're going to find in the health food stores. You're going to find massage therapists that are using these types of oils. But the challenge with these oils is there is no real standard stating that all it is that oil. It can also have weeds in it. It can have Roundup in it. It can have pesticides. It can have, you name it. As long as it has lavender, let's say, it can have really anything else, including carrier oils such as alcohol. As you will see at many health food stores, you'll find, if you go to, you'll find that the oil says it's flammable on the outside. Essential oils are not flammable, so something else is, okay? Or it will say do not ingest. Pure essential oils can be digested or ingested. So you've got to be careful about what you're taking in, what you're putting on your skin, and what you're breathing in. As a result, doTERRA came up with a new standard called Certified Pure Therapeutic Grade. And what they wanted to do with this was to make sure that it was pure. And what they have, by doing that, they needed to make sure that, number one, they weren't doing their own testing, okay? Because as we have learned with everything from small organizations to the government, if they don't have someone else checking them and balancing them, they get out of control and could potentially spend extra money. So, but what they've done is they've created a different third-party labs test their oils not just once a year, but every batch that goes out, so that you know when you get that oil, it is just lavender. It's also produced and harvested in their natural habitat. You'll have a lot of people, especially in the preparedness community, that go, "Oh, that's okay. I'm making mine in my backyard, so I've got this growing and that growing and everything else growing, which is fantastic, and I think you should do that." However, there's absolutely no way that you can produce frankincense in your backyard and it be the same quality and have the same constituents that it does in Oman. You can't create lemon and it have the same power, the lemon essential oil, that it does in Italy, or the same lavender as it comes from France. All right, so the tests ensure that the oils are pure, genuine, authentic, and potent. Okay, so just because it's lavender, just because it's only lavender, this is what I was getting at with the backyard stuff, it doesn't mean that the levels are high enough to actually provide a therapeutic or aid to your body. They could smell good, they could be organic, etc., but it doesn't mean that they're actually strong enough to do what we're looking for. And so they test for the potency as well. So the certified pure therapeutic grade goes beyond organic. Okay, so organic, you can have an organic weed, right? And so that organic weed can be in your oil, but that doesn't exactly, we're not really looking to get benefits from the weeds, only the actual oil. Free of fillers, no pesticides. There's 3 methods of taking the oils. And so you've got aromatic through diffusers, you've got the topical. So the aromatic method provides, it can kill germs in the air, it can clean your house, and it can open your airways. So we have a lot of people using it for their respiratory. Topical. What you're going to find in a preparedness standpoint is wound care, bruises, swelling, that can be affected very rapidly through the use of oils. And then internally, you've got digestive issues, detoxing your whole body, and then larger whole body issues, things that you're trying to overcome, can be used internally. So they work really fast. I mentioned that earlier. One drop on the bottom of the foot, and what he did is he came in, he started off eating a large fatty breakfast, and I think we just turn it off, and that would probably be best. A large fatty breakfast, and then they took a drop of blood from his finger, and these are his red blood cells, and you really can't see very well on that, but they're very, they just look like gelatin, right? They're very, they're just mush, okay? They look like the breakfast, actually, like lots of little pancakes. You see that? So then what he did is he went in, he put balance on the bottom of his foot. 30 seconds later, he pricked his finger again, the same finger, and then they tested that blood, and those same red blood cells now look like that. So now you can see they're perfectly round, they're individualized, and they're almost slippery, and you'll see them just running around. That's what they should look like, not what we saw earlier. So it's fast, and that's really the whole point of that video, is when you're needing support, whether it's emergency medicine or whether it's just your day-to-day, there's no need in waiting a long time to see the result. And so that's the beauty of that. So how do you prepare? Whoa. So one thing, you store oils for emergency use. I don't know how many we actually have that are preparing for like the 3-day. I was at the airport manager and had an interview with him. I was at the airport manager and had a discussion with him regarding earthquakes in our area. And as you know, we are on the New Madrid Fault. It happens about every 100 years, and we're about a year or two overdue. So the one in 1812 was devastating, but of course they didn't have buildings like ours. 1913 was even more devastating, but they didn't have near what we've got. And so the airport manager stated that they're planning for airlifts, basically to bring in food. They're planning that I-40 will be completely shut down for anywhere from 4 to 6 months. So it's not just a joke. It's not just something that someone came up with to scare people. It is legitimate. And so what do? A lot of people prepare by storing up medicine of some sort for long-term use. The other thing, though, is you can't store anything and never use it and expect to break it out 5 years from now and go, oh, well, I know exactly what to do with that, because you'll have no idea. So the only way you can really prepare is to use it on a daily basis. And that includes everything, including eating healthy. It takes time to learn how to eat healthy, and it takes time to get your body to where it is healthy. So if you wait until after any kind of incident happens, whether it's just lost your job, stresses like that can affect us physically, not just emotionally. Exercise. You can't wait until after the event to get in shape. And then a supplement program. Regrettably, our foods are wholly lacking, even the organic foods, if you can afford to do all organic, they're still lacking a lot of the minerals and nutrients that we used to have, that just used to be in the ground. It was just a given that we had those types of foods. So highly recommend a supplement type program that can build your body up so that when you do have a bad day and you don't eat proper food, that your body doesn't suffer from it. So oils to pack in your bag, and that's whether it's in your car or in your house or whatever. Essential oils, they make a perfect long-term storage, and they don't expire, and they're far stronger, and they're very compact. So here are the oils. Clove. Again, from a preparedness standpoint, you can look at it that way, but you can also look at it, we use these daily, and so many of them are extremely beneficial for just that day-to-day thing that happens. Clove is an excellent antioxidant. It also is a great salve, so you can use it. We've used it for brown recluse, which regrettably is very common in this area. And the doctors don't have a real good solution for brown recluse bites. They tend to carve out because it eats into the tissue, and they just continue to carve out the tissue until it just stops dying. And we've luckily or unluckily have had 2 or 3 different bites with brown recluse, and we were able to use the oils successfully without having any loss of any kind of dent or scar or anything. It'll relieve a toothache. There are dentists that are using clove to manage toothache pain. You can put it straight on the tooth, or you can actually put it on your jawline, and it will help relieve the pain. And only a drop or, I'm sorry.
Hey, did you have to use the antibiotic with the oil?
No. Nope. We used oregano as the antibiotic. And guys, feel free, if you do have a question as I come along, go ahead. I can't get into long stuff, but I'd love to answer that question as I go while we're going through it, because more than likely you're not the only one thinking it. It does numb on location. In fact, part of my suturing method utilizes clove, unless you've got lidocaine, which we probably don't. I use clove on each side of the incision to help with the suturing, which is nice. Frankincense. Frankincense is exclusively from Oman, or at least ours is, and it is one of the most powerful oils in the bag. It can be used to clean and dress minor cuts and sores. It increases the activity of leukocytes defending the body against infection, which is critically important if you have damaged yourself, whether it's just out mowing the lawn and you've cut yourself, or something more catastrophic. Frankincense goes at cleaning the system as well as healing the system all at the same time. It reduces internal and external inflammation. This is huge. Internal and external inflammation is pretty much what causes pain for a lot of cases. If you've got inflammation, you're going to have pain in that area, and so it is amazingly fast at reducing inflammation as well as swelling. It can stop seizures, which has been that's been documented as well as we've watched it, which is amazing. And it can fight respiratory problems, including pneumonia, staph, strep, typhoid, wounds, etc. Bites, and then in general, if it's your only oil, you're in pretty good shape. That would be the one oil, if I had no others, that I would carry with me. This is an example. The lights are really washing that out, but this is an example of a head bump. It's the ones that go out, not in. And so this was 12 hours after the application of lavender and frankincense, and it really does work that fast. Originally when I did this, I had never really seen that fast of an action because we just hadn't had that happen. So I took the slide out because I didn't want to do anything I didn't believe in. And then it has happened several times since. And so I put the slide back because we weren't wise enough to take pictures. But my son broke his collarbone, had a hematoma, and before we got to the ER, which this was the second week, we were there for the first time, then he got a hematoma a week later, went back to the ER. It's a little better, and that's, yeah, that's good, yeah, do that, thank you. And so by the time we got to the hospital, I met my wife and son there, and I looked at his shoulder and it was normal. And then the follow-up was, why are we here? Because there was no anything. It just looked normal. So that in combination with lavender. Lavender has a huge benefit of calming. So it is an extremely powerful oil on the skin. It can reduce bruising, but it is very good for calming, and we use it on the skin quite a bit. And if you have oils at your table, feel free to pass those around so they can they can benefit from that. but it also balances cardiovascular, emotional, and nervous systems. We saw this firsthand as soon as he broke his collarbone. Obviously, he's breathing fast and he's hyperventilating, etc. Holly just just poured some lavender in her hand, rubbed it in, put it over his nose, and literally it was like within 30 seconds he was calmed down, and as long as he didn't move, he was okay. So again, it's very fast, and that was not even in him or on him, that was just breathing it in. It also is a huge sleep aid. So back to the Ambien comment, it is a powerful sleep aid, and that in combination with lemon, but then there's some other oils as well. If those two don't work, there's generally something that can help you sleep. Applies to burns to relieve the pain. We have seen that also. It's amazing how many things, it's almost as though we do that on purpose, right? Well, I haven't tried this oil yet, so what's that? You can speak. Yeah, does anyone have a burn?
I'm going to give you 2 examples.
Let's hear it.
First of all, I was canning, and I had boiling water, and I poured it, and it hit my foot. Immediately it turned red all the way across, and I started to go get my cream, and I was thinking, no, Karen told me lavender. I went down to lavender, put it on it. The only thing I had from it was 3 red dots. Not bumps, not anything, 3 red dots on my foot.
Wow, that's excellent.
The next few nights after I was canning, put his hand on the burner.
Canning can be dangerous.
Yeah, that was on high, on a ceramic top. Put his hand down on it. Just automatically burned. I was like, I got the lavender and did that. This is not going to work. Yeah, well, just keep rubbing it. Put it on there.
Now, did you do it on his hand since it was such a large area? Did you do it neat? In other words, just the lavender, or did you also mix just lavender?
Just the lavender. Just rub that on his fingers and all. And it took just a little while, and the burning stopped in one finger, and then it stopped in the other. There was never a blister. There was never hard skin. There was never a rust. Never, not anything.
Excellent. So there's a great example of how fast it can work, and from a preparedness standpoint, you don't have the luxury to just sit in bed with a bad hand until it heals, because you have to continue to keep doing things, whether it's moving stuff or whatever, and it really does heal that fast. My son bumped his leg up against my motorcycle pipe, and I'm sure anybody that's had a motorcycle has had at least one of those. You usually only have one, but we used the same solution on his as well, and it worked great. It is also an effective antihistamine. I use it every now and then if for some reason allergies get to me or whatever. I just rub it on the front of my nose, and it'll stop the sneezes, and then I'm normal again. So, normal for me anyway. Lemon. It is obviously cleansing. When you think of clean, that lemon is generally one of the first smells that you think of, right? And lemon, specifically the oil. Now, one thing to bear in mind: the essential oil is not the fruit. Okay, so if you look at grapefruit oil, it is not. A lot of people are allergic to grapefruit. This is not the grapefruit fruit. It is the oil that's found in the skin outside the fruit, because it's the protective barrier. It is the essential oil of that fruit. It's what protects the fruit. Same thing with lemon. So that's why a lot of recipes use the zest, because it has such a powerful flavor. What you're getting and tasting in that zest is the oil. It's used to clean and disinfect. We've had a lot of people also lose weight from it. Now, the reason you lose weight by drinking lemon, and a lot of you are drinking lemon tonight in your water, is because it helps detox your body. And it will remove petrochemicals. And I wish we had a plate. I didn't think about that. But a styrofoam plate, you can try this at home if you have lemon. And it will probably keep you from ever drinking or eating anything from styrofoam again. But you put a drop of lemon oil on a plate, and literally within about 45 seconds, there's a hole in it. Okay, and then I had someone say, "Well, I don't want to, I don't want that in my body if it's going to eat up a cup." I'm like, well, only if you're styrofoam. So if you're not styrofoam, you're good. So the lemon has that detoxifying effect, and as a result, it binds to those petrochemicals, and it helps flush them out of your body. And the fat in your body, which is protecting you from those toxins, now has no reason to be there. And so a lot of people can plateau and get stuck trying to lose weight. They're exercising, they're eating better, they're living on carrots or whatever, and they're not really losing weight. And a lot of times it's because the toxic buildup in their body, and their body goes, look, I'm going to keep this because I need it. So instead of you actually losing weight, you just get tired because you have no energy. Okay. It is a natural insect repellent. It will fight MRSA. If you're familiar with MRSA being a very dangerous Staphylococcus virus, bacteria, it will fight that. And it also balances high or low blood pressure. And you're going to find that a lot with the oils is they're not a lot of times going to just do one thing. What they're doing is they're allowing your body to go back into balance. So if you have high blood pressure, it'll bring it down. If you have low blood pressure, it'll bring it up. And that's hugely beneficial, and you'll find that in a lot of the different oils do that. Speaking of MRSA, so as you can imagine, in a down environment, when our sanitary situation is not exactly as desired, there are a lot of things that can go wrong. Right now, actually 2007, there were 880,000 per year being infected, and that has gone up tremendously. I've got to find some new numbers on that. But the additional cost per MRSA infection is at least 10,000. And what that does, we're finding that more often or not, it's in hospitals is when it's being found. And so you go in for one thing, and the next thing you know, you've got MRSA. And so now they're treating something else in addition to whatever you had when you came in there. And so that's where the additional cost comes in. The total cost of MRSA infections per year in 2007 was $8 billion. So it's a very, very troublesome deal. And as you can see from the little cartoon, it says, remember, Junior, say no to drugs. It is extremely resistant, I'm sorry, not anti, but it's extremely resistant to modern drugs. And there are several reasons for that. Lemongrass. When you're doing things that you're not used to doing, and this is another reason to exercise now, but when you're suddenly doing a lot more strenuous activity than you were before, you will have cramping muscles, you'll have pain in your muscles and things like that. I have pain in my muscles anyway because I do work out, and it is extremely helpful for releasing tension and things like that. It's also good, just like I said, you're never going to find a single oil that just does one thing, okay? And honestly, I took a lot of this stuff out. What I could fit on the slide. So it cleanses airborne bacteria. It is great for lymphatic drainage. Improves digestion. One thing that I can personally vouch for is it repairs ligaments. I had tennis elbow on both elbows. Had the doctor tell me that my only solution was do these exercises that he gave me to, in essence, stress that muscle or that ligament to where scar tissue would build up, and then ultimately I wouldn't feel it. The problem was still there, but I just wouldn't feel it. I said no. Thanked him actually, and tried lemongrass, and it took a while. It took 2 to 3 months. He said that surgery was my only solution, and that it was going to take a while to see any benefit, any healing. And in about 2 to 3 months after using lemongrass, and I believe I used frankincense as well, I don't notice anything about them at all. And so I know it works from that standpoint. It also works great for me personally as a bug repellent. What we found is there is a TerraShield blend that works great for some, and then with lemongrass, if it's not working for you, you can add lemongrass and it works as well. Melaleuca. Who's heard of tea tree oil? Anybody heard of? Okay. Melaleuca is tea tree oil, okay? And it is your first aid ointment, okay? So instead of going for the white, oily looking stuff, Melaleuca is the way to go. And there's a few reasons for that. Number one, it is antibacterial, but also it will cause your cut to actually bleed, okay, which is a good thing. We're so worried and careful about, oh, we don't want it to bleed, but in reality, the bleeding has a purpose, and it gets it flushes the body out and cleans the wound, because there's no better way to flush a wound than from the outside or inside out. So the Melaleuca actually aids in that and allows the blood to bleed. So, but it also it aids in your immune system. It is great for bug bites, fungal infections, skin infections. Generally anything, if you're looking at some type of skin issue, Melaleuca is a very powerful tool to use for that. We use it a lot for any kind of sinus issues. It'll help. You can put it straight on your sinuses, and you'll, as soon as you put it on there, if your sinuses are clogged up, you'll start feeling the drain, and it's almost instant. Oregano. It is like your antibiotic, okay? It is a very potent oil. If you've not smelled oregano and you have it at your table, feel free to sniff. I don't recommend taking a drop unless you really, really are Italian. The best way to take it is to put on the bottoms of your feet. It is a hot oil. It's very caustic. And as a result, it can make if you put it on your regular skin, it can make it red. It's not going to like burn you for real, but it will it will irritate your skin. I'll put it that way. It'll feel like it's going to burn off. It is excellent for skin tags. It can remove skin tags. It can remove moles, and we've witnessed both of those. And it is fantastic for fighting things like the flu and for other sicknesses. We typically put it into a capsule and put a few drops into a gel cap and then just take it like that. That way you don't have to taste it. And it works fantastically. It does rival the effectiveness of penicillin and nystatin and several others. Studies at the University of Tennessee in Georgetown did that study and determined that oregano actually is that powerful, which is amazing because I can't take penicillin, which is great. Peppermint. Peppermint is it's one of the things that I keep with me all the time. I keep it in a beadlet format. If anybody has beadlets around, you guys can try those. The beadlets are basically a quarter of a drop of peppermint oil. And remember, 28 cups of peppermint tea is in 1 drop of peppermint oil. And so a beadlet is a quarter of that. No, I'm just kidding. No math. But what you can do, it will help wake you up. It's invigorating. It opens the capillaries, and so a lot of the blends have peppermint in it, and it allows for the capillaries to open up, blood flows, which helps invigorate you, which helps wake you up. But it also is a lot toward removing fever and headaches. So it's amazing. It does a lot of things, but those are the things that you can feel the fastest. Now, if anyone has peppermint at your table, put 1 drop behind your neck, and if you're warm, which I personally am, it should help cool you off. I've got a story about peppermint. It was last summer, wasn't it? It was last summer, and decided I was going to ride my bike. Hadn't ridden it in a while. It was 106 degrees. It was probably late July last year. You guys recall it was rather warm. Didn't have my Camelback, which I've got a water Camelback that I normally carry with me. It was at my office, which is about 5 miles away. So I decided, no big deal, I'll just go get it, fill it up with water, and then ride on. I was just about dead by the time I got there, and determined that was probably not a good idea, and didn't realize it was turned back on again. Rears its ugly head. And so I got there and I was about dead, really close to heat, not heat stroke, but heat issue. And so I filled up my Camelback, but I also put peppermint in it. And then as I rode, I was drinking the peppermint water, and as I started to sweat, it actually cooled me, and it's a really weird feeling because you could feel it coming out in your skin, and as it cooled, it was more than just water. It was really a bizarre feeling, but it really cooled me off extremely fast. I ended up riding 16 to 20 miles that day, which was great. So it does. It reduces indigestion. So if you take it internally, it can calm your stomach. It also aids in the recovery from shock, and that is, as anyone knows, it's a loss of blood pressure, and it aids in that as well. So there's an allergy solution. We're in West Tennessee, and as a result, allergies abound. My son has had allergies and took this solution along with, we had a couple more in there as well, Melaleuca and oregano, and did this for 4 days. And he had been on Zyrtec. He'd been on Zyrtec for like 5-6 years prior. We tried everything from all the different herbs to different things. We finally did this, and he did that for 4 days and no more Zyrtec. And he was the type that if you didn't take it that morning by like 10 or 11 o'clock, he was clogged, couldn't breathe. He was having to blow his nose constantly. It was pretty bad allergies. And that wiped it out. But not only that, but he doesn't do this solution every day. He's done. So he's only had to have one, maybe a couple times, 2 or 3 times over the past year or two, which is great. So Breathe is a blend of oils. And Breathe is a natural recovery from cold and flu. You can apply it topically to your chest. How many of you used to use the Vicks, or may still use, I guess, the Vicks humidifiers to where it smells funny, and you hope it's doing something, and then it gets a little older, and then you're wondering, is that Vicks or is that mildew? I can't really tell the difference. And I remember that when I was a kid. It had that kind of mildew-ish Vicks smell. So Breathe has that same concept. It does have menthol in it, but it also has peppermint, and it's got a blend of other oils specifically for bronchial and lungs. And a lot of runners will use it just to increase their volume in their respiratory. I do. And you can apply it to the chest, the bottom of the feet for seasonal respiratory discomfort. We have several that have inhalers for their asthma, but they go for the Breathe first, and generally they don't have to go back to their inhaler. Again, from a preparedness standpoint, it's extremely hard to save up enough inhalers to get you through it. It's like bees. It's very difficult to save up inhalers, but with Breathe you can save it up and it doesn't expire. So as soon as you break the seal on like Advair or any of the other inhalers, or a lot of the inhalers, the clock's ticking at that point. And there could be an expiration. I assume there's an expiration date on them anyway, but especially once you click it. It does combat airborne bacteria and viruses, so you can do it aromatically, diffuse it in the air. What?
Demonstrate how you do.
Oh, I thought you were bugle. I was like, what are you doing? With Breathe, if they're trying to use it instead of their inhaler, put one drop in your palm, rub it in, and then make a cone and go and breathe in through your mouth, and you'll feel it. If any of you have Breathe at the table, try that, and it will definitely wake you up. I'll rub it in my hand, and as I'm running, I just take a hit of it every now and then to help my lungs get a little bit more juice. Deep Blue. Deep Blue is when it comes to muscle and joint pain. Most people, in fact, I believe it's like 50% of Americans at one time or another are suffering from some type of joint and muscle pain. I'd say it's probably higher than that. Athletes suffer from it almost daily. And Deep Blue is a blend of essential oils, and it is extremely useful for releasing tension in the muscles. Massage therapists use it, which it works fantastically in a massage. And it relieves that discomfort before and after exercise. So it kind of loosens your body up for the exercise, but then it also helps aid you from getting all locked up after exercise. It's also excellent for if you've got joint pain, arthritic pain, that sort of thing. Digestin. Digestin is extremely beneficial if you've ever had stomach pain, if you've ever had eaten something you probably shouldn't have, acid reflux, any of that type problem, anything related to the gut usually, Digestin is phenomenal. You can take it, you can rub it in on your abdomen, or you can take it internally. It actually doesn't have a bad taste. You can put it with in some water, drink it down, and you'll notice the benefit almost immediately. Interestingly enough, as I've told before, other oils can help, because they all have a blend of some of the same essential oils. And we have a friend of ours that didn't have Digestin, but all they had was Deep Blue. It was an interesting choice, but that's all that they had. And sure enough, it resolved their problem. And don't know what they would have done without it. So again, because it had Deep Blue has peppermint in it, they got to benefit from it. It's not just one oil for one issue. So Digestin happens to be blended to support a larger range of digestional issues, including food poisoning, which is very common in a preparedness standpoint. On Guard. You almost see the guy with the sword when you say that. It is a natural immune defense. You can diffuse it in your house to eliminate airborne pathogens. And as you might imagine, when there are issues, your immune system is really that's where it's at. So the stronger that you can make your immune system, the less problems that you're going to have in general. And On Guard is also they have a whole line of cleaning products built around the On Guard product, which work fantastically, and they don't kill the good bacteria. What was the percentage you said of the number of cells, bacteria? 95%.
I just read that today. It's your stuff. It's your stuff reacting itself.
It's always me, right? Watch this. I bet it'll quit. Okay. 95% of let me get this right. So 95% of the cells in your body are bacteria.
That's what I read today.
That's what you read today. That doesn't leave a lot for us, does it? That's amazing. So, so the challenge is when you've got an antibiotic, what does it kill? It doesn't know which ones are good and bad, right? So on your skin, if you go and you wash your hands meticulously with antibacterial soap, what are you killing? You're killing the good guys and you're killing the bad guys. You kill all of them. And so then your body has to turn around and get the good guys built back up again. And you do that with antibiotics. You take the antibiotic in, it kills all of the bacteria in your gut, not just the bad guys. And so now that they call it healthy flora in your body is no longer healthy because it's gone. 70% of your immune system is in your gut. So if you just wiped it out, now what? Which is why a lot of people have recurrences of sickness when they've taken antibiotics. An interesting note about On Guard is they used they were having a swine flu outbreak in a school system in Utah. And they were able to put diffusers throughout the school with On Guard, and they reduced and eliminated the outbreak. But as a result of doing that, they also killed all the petri dishes in the science lab. So it works on a really broad level. Now, one of the things, if you have a diffuser or if you don't know much about it, it does diffuse into the air, but it's atomized, it's extremely small, and as a result, it hangs in the air for 6 hours or up to 6 hours. So you get a lot more life out of 3 or 4 drops than you would if you just took them internally. Not to mention, when they do finally land, they're now cleaning everywhere they landed, which is fantastic. Purify. Which is another one that I actually like to diffuse as well. But it is antibacterial, which most of them are. It helps eliminate the airborne pathogens. It is fantastic for removing odors. I have put Purify in my tent after it kind of got mildewed, stuff like that. It's fantastic for that. I've done it in the Jeep. I've used it in the Jeep before when it was kind of bottled up. So it's amazing. It is so much healthier than Febreze or any of those types of masking type cleaners. But you can also cleanse cuts and wounds with it, so it's very multifaceted. And you can use it to relieve bee stings, bug bites, things like that. TerraShield. TerraShield is an excellent bug repellent. How many of you use DEET bug repellent? Anybody, outdoor people, have you used DEET? Everybody knows it's like completely toxic. You try to keep it as far away, and I'm going to kill it. You try to keep it away from your skin. You put it on your boots and things like that, and it does work. Don't get me wrong, it works phenomenally. And if it's a choice between DEET and Lyme disease, we typically choose DEET, right? I have tested now TerraShield for 2 years of camping, and I have to say it works really well with ticks. For me, it works a whole lot better with ticks than it does with mosquitoes. That's why I added lemongrass, which that took care of the mosquitoes for whatever reason. But I had zero issues with ticks after using TerraShield. So that's my personal deal. Does anybody else use TerraShield out there that have a story for it? No real story. You don't get bit. I guess that's the story, right?
Well, there was fleas and how there's fleas in Healthy and Happy, I don't know. But Dion got some on her today. And because we have no animals in there, but I guess maybe came in from the outside with somebody's stuff or something. And we sprayed it down with TerraShield, just with the pump sprayer in there, and did it, and then spray on us, and then having more problems the rest of the day. Well,
now speaking of fleas, didn't Hope say that it works extremely well on dogs directly, and they fall off, which is fantastic. So, because fleas are one of those deals that once you get them, it's really hard to get rid of them. Helichrysum.
If you apply it to an animal, do you have to dilute it?
Depends on what kind of animal. If it's a dog, I guess if it's a small dog, maybe.
It's best to dilute with animals.
In general. Come in a few weeks and you'll...
Yeah.
I'm not the animal guy.
17th.
17th, yeah, and that's specifically on animals. So that's going to be a good one.
Lemongrass and diluted with the dog shampoo for fleas, and the fleas just jump off the dog like pepper in the water.
So that was lemongrass and what?
And just the
Oh, in the shampoo. Nice. And how long does that last? I mean, you have to just whenever you shampoo them.
whenever shampoo.
Gotcha. Helichrysum. Okay, so earlier when I was saying when you're dressing a wound, you use the Melaleuca in the wound. It does not burn, I know, and it flushes it allows the blood to flow, so allows you to flush the wound. Helichrysum is the reverse. It stops the bleeding, and it is extremely useful for clotting and closing and sealing off a wound, which is critical when you're trying to suture or when you're trying to close up an issue. It aids in the treatment of shock as well. Of course, what it's doing is it's closing off the blood flow, which is generally what's happened in the state of shock is a loss of blood, and so it aids in that. It draws out metallics, chemicals, and toxins. One thing that we've used it for is sunscreen. I've got some in here that Holly mixed it up with helichrysum, zinc oxide, and some other things. I'm seeing that it's not coming to her. I used it all this summer, and it's phenomenal. And the cool thing is it doesn't stink, and it's not oily feeling, which is what I hate about sunscreen. And once it's gone, you can't even really tell it's on you, which is fantastic. But it works really well. It's also helichrysum is also a cough suppressant, which is interesting. So you really have to read the book to see just what all these oils do, because it's everything from sunscreen to a cough suppressant. So it's a little broad. Past tense. I don't go without past tense. It is a tension relief. Many use it for stopping migraines or headaches. And I've got mine right there. I never go without it. I don't get headaches a lot, but I get tension in my neck, and that has to do with my day job. And so it allows me to sitting at a computer. Anybody that sits in a computer, if you don't get up, and that's one of those things you should always do, is you get up every so often, you stretch your neck, stretch your back. But a lot of us get engrossed. You stay there forever, and then you realize you can't even turn your head. Past tense is phenomenal for that. We've had great success with people actually having a migraine in the moment, rubbing it on their forehead. An hour later, the migraine's gone. So it is extremely powerful from that standpoint. All right, so Lifelong Vitality is a supplement package that has a blend of oils, because I've talked about a bunch of oils, and most of the time when people first see the oils and they see the big, like our package of oils, they're like, I don't know what to do with them. And that's really not uncommon. And so the Lifelong Vitality Pack is a 3-pack supplement that provides whole food supplement, as well as the omega-3s, and as well as oils that are blended throughout to support your body. And so many, who has a story about Lifelong Vitality that'd like to share? Anybody? Dion?
Well, I have lupus and I have rheumatoid arthritis, and I've had lupus since I was 10, so I've been able to manage that pretty well. But once I got diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, having both of them, both diseases, make me fatigued. So I was not able to get out of bed. I was taking B12
Gretchen.
3 times a day, sometimes more, just to how tired I was. So I've been taking.
Take this to her. No, I'm just kidding. Turn it on.
Is it on?
It's not. Turn it on.
Did you plug it back in?
It doesn't have to be plugged into this. It'll work regardless. There we go.
So anyway,
We didn't catch any of that, so.
so I've been taking the Lifelong Vitality for this is my 3rd month, and I don't take these anymore. I'm always bouncing off the wall, and I have a 2-year-old, so I'm definitely not getting to sleep, and I'm still getting up at like 6, 7 every morning, and I don't stop going until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning and still get up. So I'm feeling great, and I've had several people tell me, wow, like my cousin, we had a class in Nashville this weekend, he kept standing, I didn't know where he was. And then Sunday, I called him and said, I'm going. I was like, thank you.
Now, to be fair, you're also taking DDR Prime, right?
Right.
Okay. And I'm not covering DDR Prime on this one, but you can ask someone about DDR Prime. But it is it's a blend of oils as well. Excellent. Anybody else? All right. So, Lifelong Vitality, like I said, has the oils that are specifically blended to reduce the toxic load, which is one reason you start feeling, and some people, when they first start taking Lifelong Vitality, they actually feel not so great the next day or two. And it all depends on how many toxins that they're in that can affect that. But then that turns around and reverses, and then they start feeling better and better. And that can happen with any of the oils, actually. It can also help you rest and manage stress. The oils that are included in it also are helpful for mood management as well. Unless you feel like exercising, you're not going to exercise. And I think that's a lot of what happens is you get beaten down and you're so tired, it's like, yeah, I know I should exercise, but I don't feel like even getting up, much less exercising. And so Lifelong Vitality can help go a long way toward getting you started toward a whole different wellness program, because suddenly you start feeling, I think I can get up and exercise because I feel better. And that goes with pain as well. So the oils tend to manage. I don't know why I picked black as my arrow colors because I can't see them at all. But the oils manage the informed self-care and proactive medical care. And when it comes time for issues that have happened or whatever, you can proactively use the oils to resolve that. But then they can also reduce toxic load and things like that as well. The Lifelong Vitality, it really stays in that bottom tier. So you can see that the long list of things that it's kind of designed to do, and that has, you can see from the antioxidants to the immune system support, stress management, cardiovascular health, bone and joint health. If you add up all the different things that you're probably taking from different health food stores or whatever, GNC or something like that, if you combine that all in, number one, you don't know how much of it's really being absorbed. One of the things that these oils have is the tummy tamer blend, is what they call it, of different oils that can actually help you absorb nutrients that you may not otherwise be able to handle well. So that's the end of the presentation. The next phase is really, so now what? How do you actually get this stuff? There's a couple of different options. You can purchase it retail, or you can buy it wholesale. Anyone who invited you here can help you get a wholesale account. It's not some major cost event to get that started. And there are no minimums, no maximums. I guess it'd be funny if there was a maximum, but there's no minimums. The wholesale membership will give you 25% off of retail. You get benefits of the special promotions that are coming out. In fact, this month you have an option for a free Intune and a free past tense. So it comes if you have a $125 PV order of oils, $200 order of PV, then you get 2 free products. You also get the loyalty reward program. I don't know. The best way to explain that is frequent flyer miles. American Express points, I use those all the time. I love them. Best Buy has their reward zone. Everybody has some type of a deal like that. With this, for every $100 I spend, I get $30 in free oils because I'm at the 30% level at this point. And you automatically increase, as long as you're buying something, you increase over each month. So what I did from a preparedness standpoint is I put together kind of a kit plus some oils so that if that's really what you're looking for, this was the kit that I felt like you really needed because there really was, they have an emergency kit, but it was missing some stuff. And so I felt like this was a better combination of oils that it's what's in my bag. And so that's kind of where I went with that. And you can get with someone and talk about this particular kit. The other kit is the Home Essentials kit, and there are a bunch of kits. And again, I'm just kind of giving you an idea. Home Essentials kit gives you the bigger bottles of the primary oils that we talked about, including past tense, and that's for $250. And then the Family Physician is the $150, and it's really like a sampler. It's like the appetizer. So it's got the smaller bottles, but it gives you enough to figure out what's going on, what I like, what I really need, that kind of thing. There's the loyalty rewards. You can cancel at any time. It's not a requirement, and it is. And like I said, you can get up to 30% back. So what now? You can get with whoever that invited you, and they will get you information. Now, one of the best information, we have one sitting around somewhere, a book. The best thing that you can do is get one of those books, and the oils do a lot. And if you just get the oils and not the book, you will probably sit them on your shelf because you won't know what to do with them. Granted, you can use them incorrectly and still get benefit, okay? But they work a lot better if you actually know what you're using them for. And so this book is laid out really well. because it has in the back all the symptoms, and you can look it up by symptom, you can look it up by oil to see what does that oil do, and then it will walk you through what is the most powerful oil. And the beauty of that is you may not have all the oils. We happen to have all the oils, but if you only got a small kit, you may not have the best oil for whatever that you're trying to resolve. But like we say, so many of these oils can solve other issues. It just might not do it as fast. So, excellent tool. That's all I've got. I hope you found it educational. I hope it was informational. And do you guys want to follow up with anything? And I appreciate your listening.